early morning looking out over the ocean. It's about 9 a.m. So going back at least 10 years ago, I worked in this restaurant overlooking the ocean. And it was early in the evening. We didn't have any customers yet. The ocean was flat as a lake. And I stood by the window looking out, and there were two paddleboarders working their way out into the ocean as if they were on a big giant lake. So I called my coworker over. He had a young wife who was currently at the time pregnant, and he had 4 other little kids, at least to my memory. Could be 3, but I'm pretty sure he had 4. And because we both were pretty new to the job, we always got the shitty wait stations, which were in the back. And the regulars always got the front of the house. So they would always they'd make it their $100 a night, maybe more. And we would leave there some nights with $6, $7, $10, $15, $20 in our pocket. On a good night, $50. Now granted, I was staying with family, so I was well taken care of. I needed a little side job. It was just a temporary job, help out family for a while. So anyway, get back to my story. So my coworker, he would go into the kitchen each night and collect all the leftover bread out of the bread bin. And he would go around to each waitstaff member and ask for an extra $5 on his most desperate nights when he made no money, and ask if he could borrow $5. So one night I stood in the kitchen and I just watched, and one after the other would reject him. And they would make fun of him and say, hey, you know what? The guy has a bunch of kids and he's got his wife pregnant again. He's really dumb. Let him figure it out. So he was desperate one night, practically in tears, going from one waitstaff to the next, and they would reject him. They were really nasty, I have to say. It was a rough crowd. And then finally he looked at me and he said, please, can you just lend me $5? I just have this bread to feed my kids when I get home. I don't even have enough money to go to the store and get them anything. I said, sure, here's $5. Don't worry. He said, I'll pay you back, I promise. I said, no, don't worry, I don't need it. It's not a big deal. So after that, on occasion, he would ask me again. So maybe I gave him $5 2 more times. Not a big deal. And he started to just ride me up to the main road so that I got home safely each night, because we left around 11:30 at night, and it was dark, and there was a major road to cross. So he would ride me up that way, and it was on my bicycle. So I was really grateful for that. Anyway, back to the paddleboard story. I got lost in this other part of the story. So the two of us are standing by the window looking out at the ocean, and he goes to me, you know what? And I can't actually remember how exactly he said it, because he had a southern drawl. And he'd say, you know, when the ocean's flat like that, the sharks would come in to feed, and the fish would swim up, you know, they'd be swimming right up against the shore. So I think he said something like, when the ocean's flat, the sharks come into play. And he said, just don't swim when it's like that, because the sharks are there. So anyway, I took that message, and it you know, it stuck to me. It stuck in the back of my mind. 2 days later, I'm down on the shore, and I'm looking out at the ocean, and it's still pretty flat. You know, I go in about thigh deep, and there are teeny little waves, nothing like we see right now. It was just little ripples, and I thought, you know what, I really want to dive in. It's been a couple of days now. The ocean's been like a lake. And I turned to look back at the restaurant in the distance, and his voice came through my head loud and clear. When it's flat, the sharks come in to feed. So, you know, I said, maybe he's right. Let me just not do it today. And I turned to leave, and just as I turned to walk out of the ocean, there was somebody on the beach who jumped up, put his hands up to his eyeballs, and was looking real intensely out where I had just turned. And I was like, what the hell's he looking at? So I turned and looked, and I don't know, it was like an 8-foot shark that had revealed itself. It came up like a submarine. Its tail was moving, and then it went down. Oh my God, my heart fell. It was like, holy shit. That thing knew I was there the whole time. Had I dove in, I'd been nice right at his mouth, maybe 4 or 5 feet from that damn thing's mouth. And no one believes me this story. My family think I'm crazy. But quite honestly, had I dove in, I don't know what the story would have been. So I really have always been grateful that he repaid me by telling me that story. Now, years later, here I am back at the beach, and several weeks ago, I had some siblings in town, and we were down here looking out at the ocean, and I was telling him the story about my coworker and how I used to lend him $5. We started talking about how people were not very kind to other people, and so that story came up, and so we were leaving the beach. We walked up on into one of the boardwalks here. And when we got up to the boardwalk, I stopped and told him how I would lend him $5 and how none of the other wait staff would give him any money, and they made fun of him, called him stupid, dumb, and let him figure it out himself. And I knew he was really desperate because he was practically in tears, and he would tell me all the time, you know, I have kids and my wife is pregnant and I'm really broke. And he would hustle. Granted, he was out looking for other work. I felt really bad for him. But, you know, how far does that go? When we talk about little kids not having any food to eat, that was a real concern to me. So, anyway, here I am. We're up here on the boardwalk, and I tell the story. Then I head to the road, and I'll show you what happens next. So anyway, when we walked off the boardwalk and down to the street corner, a serendipitous moment happened. There against the light post was folded very neatly this $5 bill. Now my two siblings looked at me in shock and started laughing and said, wow, you were just saying how you lent your coworker $5, and there it is. They basically walked right by it, and it was clear as day, right there, leaning against the light post. I mean, granted, the wind didn't blow it away, it just sat there like this. This is the corner of the sidewalk, leaning against the light post like that. So I've kept this $5 in the front of my backpack now for the past several weeks. I won't spend it. I don't know if that person's dead or alive. Maybe he's not alive anymore. Maybe he gave me $5. I don't know what the universe is doing here. It just was so beautiful of a moment and so shocking of a moment. And these things happen to me on and off over the years. I'm sure they've happened to some of you as well. And I just wanted to share that story. And if he's in heaven, thank you so much for paying me $5. I really didn't need it now, so it's in my backpack. And as soon as somebody asks me for $5 that's desperate, that will be theirs.